That understand the language of music. This is not, I repeat, this is not for this shackled brain, not to sell or be sold, just enjoyed.
You get involved your money when you fuck with Mr. Forster.
Welcome, Black Intelligent Minds United Radio. I'm your host, Life Along. I got my brother with me,
Jerule.
Yeah. So we're here for our extra episode for everybody out there who's listening. We got a lot in store for you today. We have an extreme special guest with us today, and she is going to really go knee deep on what she's doing and how she's doing it and making it happen out there from a musical level. But before we go in, what's been happening with you, Jerule? How's everything been going, man?
Everything's good, man. Surviving. It was cold.
Progress?
It was cold yesterday, man.
A little cold.
It felt a little bit like the East Coast a bit.
Yeah, well, knock out some push-ups. You be nice and
right,
warm,
exactly.
right? That military thing. Yeah. So as we always do, today's mathematics is wisdom, knowledge, all being born to understanding. And, of course, we know wisdom is wise words, but it's also experience. Knowledge is the foundation, and understanding is what you get when you begin to add these two things together. So without further ado, we want to get right to our guest. But before we do, we want to go into two songs, as we always do, introducing new music. So the first one is going to be out of London. The group is called Blue Lab Beats, and the name of the track is called Dome. And then we have a real special song called Home, Lover, and Best Friend from a sister named Ella Frank. So here we go. BIMU Radio, y'all. We back. Peace.
Yeah, you could leave a message just on my phone, or you could leave impressions just on my dome. We can make it messy, turn off light bulbs. Got you feeling sexy just from my tone. Yeah, you could leave a message just on my phone, or you could leave impressions just on my dome. We can make it messy, turn off light bulbs. Got you feeling sexy just from my tone. Let me be your medicine.
Let me be your medicine.
Let me be your medicine.
Let me be
so
your
what you saying now?
You know that question was loaded. Yeah. You know that question was loaded. You know that question was loaded. You know that question was loaded.
I peek your vibe. Sun to the denim is appealing. Codeine sipping. Slow these minutes. You describe your dose of your image. Picture you under these linens. Did we hit it, sip it, bit it? Cause I'm feeling wave to the feeling that you're giving. Feeling like the open window to my ceiling. Hold the yacht up like Simba in his kingdom. I know it's kinda late, girl. Know it's kinda late, girl. Let me deliver you. I really do. Take you to dinner food for the mind, but we can take an interlude. Hope you don't consider rude. Your booty, your shrine, I'll start a religion too. But man's not ever afraid to tear it up in the nude. Hit it rude, treat you like the lady you are in a mirror view. See you got a leak and it's dripping. Man's kinda thirsty in his kitchen. Get my intention. You are life's most beautiful invention. Send me your location, hit me up, did I mention? You don't need no prescription for this drug. Let me be your medicine plug. You can leave a message just on my phone, or you can leave impressions just on my dome. We can make it messy, turn off light bulbs. Got you feeling sexy just from my tone. Yeah, you could leave a message just on my phone, or you could leave impressions just on my dome. We could make it messy, turn off light bulbs. Got you feeling sexy just from my tone. Let me be your medicine.
Let me be your medicine.
Let me be your medicine.
Let me be
so
your
what you saying now?
medicine.
man, let me intercept. I don't even care if I disrespect, but that would be wrong, it would bring regret.
You made it very clear how it happened, how we got here, even how we met. Yeah, it's not here, it's not here. You made it very clear how it happened, how we got here, even how we met. Yeah, it's not here, it's not here. I never thought we'd end up in a game. Now I wish I never would have played. Oh, I see this coming to an end. Are you my homie, my lover, my best friend? Yeah, homie, my lover, my best friend. Homie, my lover, my best friend. Homie, my lover, my best friend. Look where we are.
Welcome back to BIMU Radio, y'all. Again, we have a lot in store for you. So let's get to the news, and then we're going to get to our special guest, which I'm really excited to talk to about a lot of things, actually. I have like about 21 questions to ask her. I hope she's ready. But anyway, so right to the news. So Monique, you remember the artist Precious? All right, so I guess she's boycotting Netflix right now because I guess they didn't want to give her millions of dollars. They offered her $500,000. And she said no, because you're offering these white folks $11 million, stuff like that.
For a film?
For a film, right?
Okay.
So what we have to understand here is this. Anytime we get an opportunity, we don't control the industry. We should, because most of our talent is how the music business and entertainment business is thriving. So if you want that type of money out there, collaborate with others and build your base. Stop looking for the handout. Yeah. There's no more handouts, no more protesting, no more nothing. If you want something now, go and take it. But at the same time, use your relationships wisely or you'll be blackballed, which is what happened to her. So
yeah, I think also you got to position yourself. Like if you think of like what Chappelle did. He had I think 3 or 4 comedic specials through Netflix, and he got paid astronomical numbers of money. Right. But he positioned himself to be valuable commodity. So when he came in,
exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think that's important too. You got to position yourself.
So again, as you know, we try to share knowledge with everybody out there so that you understand how to move and shake in this industry, because it ain't easy. You have to have a plan of action. Now, back to the news. So Elaine Brown, former Black Panther, was awarded $4 million in Oakland recently. Now, we know we got the Black Panther movie coming out. We suggest everybody go watch it, but more importantly, why is this happening now? Why are they awarding this now to her after $4 million? Are you familiar with the story?
I'm not too familiar, but I'm pretty sure it had to do with something with the police. And
well, what happened was that she was, I guess, caught up in a raid or something like that and got hurt and got injured, and they was kind of like, well, you're a Black Panther, we're not going to deal with you. And then later on now, through evidence and, of course, other things, now she's been awarded. So that's great to get what your just due is, and hopefully you use the money wisely in the community. Maybe open up another breakfast program for the babies. Right. Back in the news, Erica Campbell, our Christian artist, right? You're probably familiar with her. You're probably familiar with Erica Campbell. No? Yes?
The Mary?
Yes, Mary. So now she is suing a distributor for $500,000 for album royalties, right? So again, you got to be about your business being an artist. You can't just let people do it for you. You got to manage your business right and exact, which means you got to get in those books and understand how this thing works and not leave it up to other people to handle your affairs. We hear it every day. Artists come in, artists go, and they go out broke. Meanwhile, the people behind the scenes is reaping the benefits and the rewards for your talent.
I think the main thing, too, is like if you do choose to have people handle some of your affairs, you have to be knowledgeable about what they're doing so so you can see exactly the ins and outs of what they're doing.
Exactly. So know your business out there. Yeah. So I want to go and say one more thing. One of my friends, Gary Harris, a veteran executive, passed away. I want to say condolences to him and his family, more importantly, his family and those friends who knew him. Again, we're losing a lot of our colleagues now, and I would suggest that this is not about what label you work for. This is not about who you know. This is about what we know from a collective point of view. If you have a friend out there, don't let it be, well, what label you work for now so I can get a job. No, call a person. It only takes 1 second. Hey, man, hey, sister, you all right? You need anything? Because you never know. That may be their last day. Mm-hmm. So without that, right, without all that extra I just gave you, I want to get right to our guests because time, right? We've only got 1 hour, and I want this hour to be about her. So without further ado, I'd like to now introduce the Breath of Life recording artist, Natalie Cadet. Everybody give it up. Yay! That's your Omega in me, right? All right. So Natalie Cadet. Wow. First of all, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time of being with us here at Black Intelligent Minds United Radio. And being such an intelligent woman, especially when it comes to music as well as your beauty. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about you. So, how long have you been in music? And more importantly, where did you get started? How did you get started?
First of all, I wanted to thank you for inviting me.
Yes, ma'am.
It's an honor to be here. I started doing music since I was a child, a baby.
Okay.
I learned most of what I know about music, what I use every day by ear. So I would hear things, I'd play them. I hear things, I sing
that's
it.
Very creative. It's very unique.
So pretty much that was
The gist of it.
my deal. That's how I got started doing it, and it became my life. It became my everything. So
Wow.
yes.
So what age was it? Like 3, 4 years old? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
I started playing before that, but the first time I sang somewhere in publicly was like 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you come from a line of family who's in business. I understand your sisters are also
All of
part
my
of
sisters,
all of it. And now, do you teach them music, or they're also creative like you are?
They're all creative. They all have their specialties. They all do something very cool, and that's what I love about them.
Okay.
And they can all sing. They are all able to, and thank God they were patient enough with me with this. But I would teach them all their parts and would arrange for them. And I mean, we did it all by ear. I wrote nothing down.
Wow.
So it was. It took a special kind of group to, by faith, be able to take in whatever basically whatever I came up with in my head, and they just, took it. They embraced it and they made it happen. So, yeah.
So how did your folks early on kind of nurture that gift that you had?
They supported anything that was musically. They saw that earlier on that I had the gift, that I had talents for music. So piano, or that I took some piano lessons. And some, but very, very few vocal lessons. But they would try to inspire me with different challenges. Of course, they made sure it was it had to be all about God and all about praising Him and things like that. So because of that, they did not allow me to listen to any secular music at all. So it was only classical music and some gospel music.
Wow.
So things like Mary Mary and all these people, I didn't know who they were.
Wow.
So
So like for instance, like Ella Fitzgerald. No.
Actually,
Phyllis Hyman, Anita Baker,
Nat King Cole, Natalie Cole, all of these people, I did not know who they were.
Wow. And yet, you still had a way of being creative. I guess that must come from the ancestors. It has to.
It was one of those things that I had. I had a lot of ideas in my head, and I couldn't stop them, no matter what my religious community kept telling me about. If I was going to go to hell or whatever it is for doing whatever I was doing. So I had to believe.
Say that again. They said he was going to go to hell.
Oh yeah, for sure. So
wow.
But I couldn't stop everything. I did want to. I mean, I grew up in a religious community, and I really, really wanted to please God. But then
something happened.
But it didn't make any sense how everybody kept banging on me for you know, you have to be doing this a certain way, especially when, if my desire was, you know, pure of intent, and it's not like I was trying to be evil or anything, then why are you attacking me for things that are coming out of my head that
divinely?
You know, yeah, and it had to be. So I kept doing things, and I accepted challenges. I didn't want to play the same thing twice. I kept improvising. I kept doing all these things. I ended up playing jazz before I knew what it was.
Wow.
And people said it was, but I didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
So,
you know what they're talking about now, though.
Oh, yes. I fully
of course, as a teacher, you should know. I mean, because you're teaching that now.
Yeah.
So what was your, and I'm definitely one, because I know I have these 21 questions.
Yeah.
Right. So who were your, so since you didn't have anyone to listen to, who was your musical influences then, if you remember? Who were they, if
Mostly
any?
classical.
Like who in classical?
Claude Debussy was my favorite.
Mm.
He is this French composer who single-handedly changed music by himself, changed theory by himself.
Mm.
Theory had to be rewritten because of him. So I like the fact that he was okay with breaking the rules. And it was about painting a picture, although he did not consider himself an impressionist at the time, but that's what he did. It was all about painting pictures in a very interesting way. So Beethoven, in some ways, kind of influenced me, even though I did not like some of his music at first, because I felt like it was overheard and people did the very same thing, and everybody was like, oh, I do something special with it, and they play the exact same way, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm never going to learn any of his music again. And then later on in college, I heard his story, and I cried my eyes out, and he became a huge,
so you made a connection,
inspiration to me.
Was that the vibrational aspect of the story, or the frequency of sound? Because sound changes a lot in terms of if you're in tune with that sound.
Both. His basically his story and how he was able to overcome his problems, and he had many. People thought people just consider the fact that he was deaf. That's not the only problem he had. He had plenty of them. Man. And he was trying to take care of his family. His dad was an absentee father, and you know, there's just a bunch of things about his life that people don't get. And he fought with the fact that he was losing his hearing for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And then when he became 30, the doctor said, you're never going to, prepare to never hear again. And he was suicidal. And he was going to end his life. So
so now, do you see yourself based upon your story? Do you see some type of correlation, some type of connection, which made you become emotionally caught in...
I didn't know it at the time.
Okay.
I just know that these are some of these stories that got to me, the very human aspect of musicians, and what they struggled with. Something I don't think my parents knew about, and how sensitive somebody who is... who has, somebody who is involved in the arts, the different things that seem to get to them more than others, their sensibilities. So I was very, very fascinated by it because I didn't really have anyone to connect with growing up when it comes to that.
Wow.
So, so I loved hearing about those stories. I didn't know until later how the turn of events in my life would very much be similar to these artists I looked up to.
So how much of those experiences that you've gone through contribute to, I guess, your artistry? You know what I mean? Like, you've overcome a lot. When it comes to, like, your music, do you feel you were able to pull from those experiences to maybe tap into an emotional expression through the music in any way, or...
Are you speaking of the stories of the?
Yours personally.
Mine. Yeah, it became my source, my well of inspiration, pretty much. I've been very open about my story and my struggle with depression and how it's affected me ever since I was young, and I was in denial about it because I really know that it was a thing or it was a problem. I just knew that that there were certain things about me I didn't quite understand. But a lot of things came to a head for me while I was in grad school in Boston at New England Conservatory. That experience changed my life, and I absolutely loved being there and all the things that I learned there. But at the same time, my life went all kinds of crazy, and I ended up in the hospital at least 3 times.
Wow.
And one of those times I ended up in a mental institution. So it was there that I began to face my demons. And then once I graduated, I had like a 6-month
detox.
Where it was just me, the piano, and my demons. And then that's where I started writing to heal, and then music took on a completely different form for me. And so now,
something we talked about many times.
It really, really became my healing.
Your
it
therapy.
became everything.
So I want to talk about, before we go into our break and listen to some of your music, I think that's important to express it. We actually put your video on our website, Dear Depression. And for the viewers out there, depression is a serious thing. Right? You got to take it serious, and you got to understand the signs of what depression really is. Before we go into your music, what is that now for you, now that you face those demons using music as the forefront or as the catalyst for change? How does that affect you now with what you were dealing with then?
The music
or
depression?
The music, both.
Oh, okay. The music is still that source of healing. But then it becomes, I believe that music is my journey through life. It is my path. It is my religion. It is my superpower. It is everything.
Wonder Woman, then, I guess.
It is my
the music
superpower.
Utility belt, right?
It is my superpower, and I tell all of my students and my any musician that I come across, especially if I know they're having a hard time, I'm saying that it is a trick and it is a lie when you either self-deceive and think that your superpower or the gifts that you have you can't tap into in order to save yourself. It was given to you first. You heal from it, and then you get to save the world.
You get to express it.
So
we're going to come back to that, because, again, like I said, we have a ton of messages and questions and all that. So I want to get right to Natalie Cadet's music. The next cut is called What is Beauty? Right after that is a gentleman by the name of Curtis Lewis, Still Waiting. And then we have one from an artist by the name of Ashun called Diplomatic. I'll be right back. BIMU Radio, y'all. Natalie Cadet. Peace.
What is beauty to you? Does it feel that you can run and hide? Did you learn that beauty's only what you see, not what you feel inside? His beauty. See it when the times are right. You see it when the times right.
Yo, this song right here speaks of divine unity and how in time destiny comes in full circle. Some of you know this language, so I know you feel me.
I'm thinking about all the nights that you cried on my shoulder. Said you want me to hold you, and I was there like I told you. Yeah, always been right here, even when you looked outside. Standing in the same place that I have always been. Many people would have given up on you long time ago, but I can't let you leave that easy. In spite of your actions, I know what's in your heart. Giving you all the time in this world for you to decide. You know, 'cause you know what's right from wrong. So why don't you come on? Away from here a very long time. But I'm still waiting on you to come back home again. Come back home again. You just walked out on, turned your back on that.
Yeah, the goons giving dudes some time to ponder. Don't you wonder what it's like? You lying and you scheming just to say you wanna fight. Oh, you wanna fight? Nah. Tell your girls to put their hands down. Y'all don't want that work. Tell your men they need to stand down. I keep trying to tell you, you don't wanna see no man down. See if I put your man down. Tell him he can lay down. Kiss him on his neck. I promise I can make him go down. See, do you understand now? Y'all don't want no showdown. I won't put these hoes down. I don't even know how. I'm just trying to keep the peace, please. I can show how. I guess I stepped my game up. Broke a couple hearts. Cupid never got his aim up. I told you from the start, baby, I'm just trying to lay up and maybe save up. And in a couple years, I'll call you if you wanna wait up. But if not, I understand. See, baby, you don't gotta hold my hand.
Just know that if you do, I'll take you to the promised land. The motherland, mama's boy, I hold you like your mother, man. No one is enemy to water. Two fire signs still smooth like the water. Hatred might have taught her. Ego might have bought her. Pour libation for her sorrow. No disrespect, boo. We're here to protect you, love you, and help make things clearer. Help you see the beauty when you look inside the mirror. But don't get it twisted. Shango got a temperance since I'm his lady missus. And you know our love is tender. Baby, he's a guy, so know that you're not his contender.
All right. So we're back with our special guest, Natalie Cadet. So, Natalie, if it's all right to call you Natalie, can I say Natalie or Miss Cadet? I want to make sure I got it right.
Fine.
All right. So we're on a journey. Your album. That was the album that you debuted in 2015. We heard a song, and we're going to go into two others before we end our show. But I have a question for you. You had ended on how music is embracing. It's a part of your life now. It's your way of life. Have you suffered any resistance and skepticism in the industry based upon what you've gone through and what you're doing now as it relates to you being a woman in the business?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Okay.
Not just from I don't think people knew at first what to do with what they heard, because it's not your regular love song about men and women and this and that, or it's more telling a story. It's my story. Right. It was very real. It was very upfront. So and then to come out talking about that first, usually I guess some people were like, oh, introduce yourself first, let us get to know your music. And then maybe later on down the road when you're rich and famous, then you talk about, depression and all the other problems. Right. And I'm just like, but that's not my story. I mean, right. This is a way of life for me. I'm alive because of music. So I don't want to taper down my story for any reason, just to get rich and famous first, and then I'm going to start introducing myself to society. No. So I didn't care at that point. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be upfront. Whoever takes it, takes it. Whoever doesn't. And then, but then I got the other kind of feedback. The people who came out of the woodwork saying, you're brave for talking about this and for being yourself, and the music you write is, amazing, and that kind of stuff. And I felt like, whoa, this is so cool. Especially because when I first came to California, I was pretty much in my own head and still very much a mess from everything that had happened to me. So, so to hear other people being inspired was awesome. So
it was kind of like, now you're okay. I'm going in the right direction. With what you're doing.
Yeah. And then there's the other kind of pushback where people were like, oh, you're still going to hell. Oh, you are definitely going to hell now. Because,
and they don't know we're already in hell now anyway.
Right,
we are. I want to go to heaven. And that's musical heaven. So what ingredient do you feel makes you unique and special as a performing artist? I mean, because everybody has their way and how they want to, be known for. What makes you special other than your creative mind, your beautiful mind as it relates to music? But what makes you special? What's the ingredient?
I would say, and what I would want people to get from my performing is I want to tell a story. I want my music to be about stories, to celebrate the stories of human beings, because they, more than any other kinds, more than creeds, more than cultures, they're more diverse than all of them. Okay? Because everybody's different. So I celebrate my story, and then I celebrate other people's stories. And that's what I want it to be about. My performing, I don't see my audience as fans, and my performing as, oh, this is me being a goddess about something. But it's me having a conversation with them and telling them a story.
Like a conversation with God through sound.
Or people.
Right.
Yeah, either way.
Right. So I have one more question. Like I said, I got a ton of questions, but one in particular, you as an independent artist, Breath of Life Records. Let's talk about Breath of Life Records. So how did that come about? How did you get, signed? What happened? What was the course of action that got you involved with Breath of Life Records? And thank you, by the way, for whoever named that company. Thanks for naming it after me. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? But go
ahead. Tony Shepard, who is the CEO of the label, he knew me and my sisters since we were small, and he mixed our third album, with the girls and I, when we recorded it, and that's how I got to know him, over the phone. And he was giving me all kinds of, had this very upfront, brute honesty kind of a way about him. Yeah, and he was just like, hey, this is what I would do. I would do this and this and that.
That's
I remember, every time getting off the phone with him crying. Because I was just like, I know, I want to be better. So sure, I'm doing it right. Just going crazy because I craved to be good. I craved perfection, and anyone who was willing to lead me to it, especially one who had my best intentions in mind.
Best interest.
So, and he seemed to be that kind of honest person.
Authentic.
Yeah. So then we kept in touch over the years. He would send me different music from different artists I had never heard of before, like Jerule and Bobby McFerrin and all these other people. And I was like, ee! And just going crazy. And then he said, you should always, you should do something with your music. And I was never sure because originally I was going to become a doctor.
What type of doctor?
A gynecologist and an obstetrician.
Oh, really?
And then
I thought I was going to become a doctor too.
Yeah, right.
One time. No, seriously. Yeah, in the music, not music, but in the military.
Right.
I was a combat medic, and I was on my way to become a doctor.
Wow.
But of course, things change. But for the good.
Right, of course. It was meant to be.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. What do you have, Jerule?
Well,
go on with these questions.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot, but for me, some of the things that stood out that you said is how your music is your religion. I guess what type of advice would you give to a young artist who is kind of in flux in terms of tapping into their own artistry or presenting their music in a way that will be, I guess, deemed as popular or embraced by, the people at large?
I would say this. Music, or whatever that superpower you were given was given to you, whatever, if it's dance, if it's acting, if it's drawing, if it's painting, whatever it is, it was given to you for a reason. Explore that for you. It takes on, how perfume, it takes on a different thing with each person because the skin reacts with it. Well, it's the same with a talent, with these superpowers, they take on a different texture and consistency with each person it comes in contact with. So it's up to us as artists to embrace it fully with everything in us. Don't back away from it, even sometimes if it hurts and if it feels weird and if it feels crappy, because that is our discipline. That's what makes us better people. It's not just better musicians or better artists. It makes us better people. It makes us the best versions of ourselves.
Right.
So don't embrace it every single day. Make it your way of life. You will become the best version of you, and you will never be sorry for it. So that's what I would say.
So we've talked about a little bit about Breath of Life. I mean, what else is Natalie Cadet doing now? I know you have a project that's getting ready to come out, a new single. Do you have a new album coming out now, or how's that been manifested so far?
So, right, I do have an album out, My Journey. It's available on iTunes. Right now, I have pretty much a single coming out every month. This month, it's the jazz standard called Skylark, and it's dropping next week. This week. Yes. and then it's pretty much just a piano, a Rhodes and vocal expression of Skylark. Yeah. And so that's what's coming up very soon. And there's some other really cool things in the works. I'm also involved in a 45-song project called Rush Through History. I'm one of the principal writers. Me and the father of the project, which is Carl Gustafson, basically tracing the blues from its roots to Africa, and then now to its offspring, which is everything else, funk, jazz, R&B, soul, you name it.
So you're tracing the roots back to Africa, which is why I said earlier in the interview that it seemed like your talent, other than the superpowers that you mentioned, come from the ancestors.
Yeah.
Right, because that's what we're all made of, cells of people who are already here. And we know that music has always been the way of connecting people together through sound and vibration. So what are some of the barriers that you might have faced as an independent artist, and maybe advice you can give to these young artists out here who's trying to get seen and known? What is those barriers, and how did you overcome those barriers?
There are lots of barriers. I don't think I'm done running into them. They're constantly coming back and forth. But it's some of them would be. I mean, if you do not have the backing of a major label or whatever it is, you know, people do not pay attention to you as easily. So it does mean that you, as the artist, have to be quite a lot of things. Not you're your own PR person. You're your own. You know, you're pretty much. You have to network yourself. You have to do different things. And I've been learning from watching other artists. Some of my friends who are doing this on their own. I actually, Breath of Life has really taken me on, and they're my family. They really are. And they really, they're like the new Motown to me. Because
is that right?
They concentrated on developing me.
So artist development.
As an artist.
Something they've been missing for quite some time
so,
in the music business.
And they took their time. They're small for a reason. And then
it's more like a boutique label per se.
Yes, but then they all cared about the direction I was going and all this other stuff. So and all the other artists. So then I got a chance to watch all my sister and brother, brothers in the, in the label and watch what they're doing. And I accepted that all paths are not made the same. Mm-hmm. So all of you artists out there, I say that to you, not one path is ever the same. So there's no reason to be jealous. There's no reason to go crazy. It's literally you learn what you can take away from your fellow artist in the industry is probably the discipline, the method of discipline.
And on that note, the takeaway, we want to go right into a song called Take 5 by Natalie Cadet. And as soon as that song is done, we're going to come right back with Natalie Cadet, Breath of Life Records recording artist, BIMU Radio, y'all. Take 5 coming up right here. BIMU. Interesting.
4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Back with Natalie Cadet, Breath of Life recording artist, and that was Take 5. Let's talk about Take 5. We only got about 15 more minutes. But Take 5, how did that song come about, and who were the artists what was the inspiration behind Take 5? I actually saw the video as well too.
Right.
It was incredible. I appreciate it so much. So let's talk about it briefly. Take 5.
Take 5 was basically we were working on the album, and Tony Shepard was trying to find songs that were outside of the whole writing that we had been engaged in with not only my writing but co-writing with other people, and just trying to throw things in my mind to see what I would do with it. So he showed me Take 5, and I remember the week that he said, "Hey, why don't you do something with this for the album?" I remember it's like, yeah, okay. But I remember being as sick as a dog, and I just couldn't quite, I listened to it like probably 5 or 6 times, and I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I'm in bed with the flu, and I had my keyboard and my, computer and Logic in front of me, and I came up with the arrangement that week while the entire time I was in bed sick. And every time I thought about, going crazy because I heard the original, and I go through this thing all the time, especially when there's so much good music, where I'm just like, I can't top that, And then it was like I was impressed and inspired. It's not about trying to top anything. It's about coming up with, it's how does this song interact with you? And then when it interacts with you, how do you make it yours? So I said, okay, so fine. I'll just take it for what it is, and did that. So I learned a lot about it, not just from the writers, but what the whole, even though that song is absolutely wordless, it still taught me so much. So yeah, it was my interaction with it and what I felt about that song.
Well, it's a great song, actually. And I enjoyed it too while listening to it. And like I said, I listened to it, and then I looked at the video, and I listened to it again to make sure I actually understood what was happening in front of me. What other question?
Oh, sorry. The other artist that were
the saxophone.
Yeah, the Catisse Buckingham.
Okay.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's
so him, and then the one who wasn't in the video, the bass player Reggie Hamilton as well.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
So you sound like a person who's literally locked into music all day. What are some things that you do outside of music that isn't necessarily tied to music per se? You know what I mean? What do you like to do?
That is continually evolving because, again, as a child, I didn't really do much except for reading and music.
And what type of books did you like reading?
I liked reading encyclopedias. I liked reading biographies. I liked, of course, all of it was pretty much filtered because there was only so much of things I could read. but but I liked doing that. But one guilty pleasure I had was Greek mythology.
Oh, wow.
So I loved
Zeus and Thor and Medusa and all that stuff.
All of that. It was my guilty pleasure. And so I used to love reading those.
But you did use your superpowers in order to get there, right? To the Greek
music?
The Greek, since that was your thing, you probably envision you being in those Greek stories, and you use your superpowers to get there.
Yeah, imagination is a huge thing. A huge thing.
Exactly, imagination.
So I loved that, and then other things. Now I'm not just trying to read. I'm trying to do other things. For example, I'm getting into dancing just because I want to.
The expression.
I want to use this space in my body, explore music and with my body in a different way. I love working out. So, and that's actually one of the things that helped me when it came to my depression.
Therapy.
Yeah. Yoga, Pilates, and then I'm getting into learning languages again, but this time not just to sing them. This time to
actually
speak them. Yeah, I grew up speaking French when I was very small, and
I trained in France.
Oh, really?
That's a French commando.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the French Legionnaires.
Oh, yes.
So I got a little a little language there. Just a little. Piquito. That's Spanish for those who don't understand. You thought I was going to say wee, but no, I had to go piquito.
Yeah, so I'm learning whenever I have a spare moment. I'm going back to speaking French, and then I'm going to take on Spanish and Portuguese as well. But just as a way
that's important.
Of doing that. And then other things I like to do for myself. I love shopping.
All right.
And whenever I get a chance, it would be nice. But I'm so involved in music, I'm just I have to pull myself away from that. So
Wow.
That's amazing.
So you teach where? Where are you teaching at right now? I think it's the Music Institute?
Yeah, Music Institute in Hollywood.
In Hollywood. And how long have you been doing that?
A year.
And what is the type of students you've come across that may be similar in your creative mind and you connected to just on the fact that they know how to play? What do you teach them? Is vocals? Do you teach them the keys? What do you teach?
A variety of things. I'm a vocal instructor, but I teach harmony and theory, ear training, project recording, live performance workshops, vocal performance. The list goes on and on and on. Yeah, and then some piano too, songwriting.
Okay.
Various things. Yeah, and in the age group, it's college kids. So.
All right. So, our show is only an hour, and we're trying to get an extension because there's so many folks that we have coming in to be with Black Intelligent Minds United, and we don't never have the time to go deeper. So, as I always say, we're going to probably have to have a part 2. Right? But before we close out, is there last things that I want to get into this song, Hope, with Natalie Cadet before we segue out? And I want to ask her one more question before we segue out.
No, I would just say, what would you say, if anything? I know you covered some things that new artists should know, but is there anything else that you feel like you would like to share to them?
There's a lot of things I usually tell new artists, but mainly just the whole idea of sticking to it. Manage your time in a way where you invest in your superpower and your method of discipline so that when you come to meet opportunity, which is out of your control, only, those opportunities comes every day with the, universe extending it to us and definitely divine appointment because, he's always in control. So whenever those opportunities come, you do not want to be caught, not ready for it. So in that case, all your time needs to be invested in making sure you are the best you can be.
So are you performing anywhere? How do we find Natalie Cadet? Is there a website that we can go to? Is there a performance outlet that you're going to be performing soon? How do we find you?
NatalieCadet.com is my website. You can find me on all the social media outlets. Cadet Natalie Music, in Instagram, Natalie Cadet, and Facebook. And I do perform. I am performing. What am I performing? Oh, NAMM, the NAMM show that's coming up.
We're going to be there, right? I think we got some tickets extended to the BIMU family.
Okay, cool.
You see, I threw that in there, right?
It's so for the Dexy Bell booth, I'm going to be performing Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to be doing that, and there you should, if you're sticking to the website or tune in, you'll get to see a list of the next time I perform. So
All right, anything else before we go?
Nah, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure having you. It's a pleasure. Real pleasure. We want to first of all thank Morse Media as always having us. We have some big things happening in the next month coming up, and we want to thank Breath of Life Records. We want to thank Jacqueline Reinhardt for connecting me with this talented woman, Natalie Cadet, and thank you, Tony Shepard, and everybody out there. Again, as you know, Black Intelligent Minds United was there and is there for the independent artists. If you feel that you want to come, you can always contact us at BIMU Radio. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. Check us out. Plug in, subscribe, and pick up Natalie Cadet's My Journey album. It's important that we support our artists. Especially creative, talented artists. It's very, very rare that you find someone that can play music using her intellect, using her mind, and be able to express that in such a way that can be impactful to the world at large. So before we segue out, again, this is BIMU Radio, Black Intelligent Minds United. I'm Life of Law with my brother and my partner, Jerule. Natalie Cadet, thank you so much for having us. And we're going to go right into her song called Hope. It's a powerful song. Stay in tune. Stay focused. Stay black. Black intelligent minds. Peace. United.
What is this I see? Coming at me like a moving train. A faint but steady light. Barely tell from where I sit in chains. Seems so far away, but coming swiftly through the barren plain. A steady light that's coming like a moving train. Something's in the air. Smells kinda like the coming rain. The sounds of drops of water blending with my tears of joy and pain. Seems so very slow, but coming steady so I can't complain. It's in the air, it sounds just like the coming rain. What is this I feel? It's something that I can't explain. It's deep within my soul, like the blood that's pumping in my veins. Feels me everywhere. It's something that I can't contain. It's what I feel. It's something that I can't explain. What is this I see? Yeah. Coming at me like a moving train. But steady light, barely tell from where I sit in chains. Seems so far away, but coming swiftly through the barren plain. A steady light that's coming like a moving train. It sounds just like coming rain. It's what I feel. Something that I can't explain. Can't explain. Steady light is coming. It's called home. Moving train. It's called home. It's in the air. Sounds just like coming rain. It's called home. Feel something that I can't explain. It's called home. A steady light's coming light. A moving train.